Hi, Coach Kyle Harris from the Bob Harris Baseball School in Green Springs, Ohio. I wanted to talk about the pelvic tilt today. Now, when we're talking about the pelvic tilt, I know that we are a baseball, softball training facility, but we also care about all athletes. So these are all things that we can do to improve athletic performance, protect our spine, and just give ourselves good posture through life. So as I go through these, just remember that we're not only talking specifically about baseball, softball movements, we're talking about an exercise and activity and control that's going to provide help in athletic performance for any sport and for saving your back and preventing back injury and all sorts of other ailments as you go through life. Now, the first thing I want to show is just the typical standing pelvic tilt that we use to warm up with our athletes. This is the same test we use to assess athletes' ability to pelvic tilt through the swing. And what we're looking at basically is we're looking at if this is your pelvis facing you, just mine sitting here, the ability to control that and pull it back. So a lot of people have an anterior tilt, which is this way. So we're trying to, you're tilted your pelvis here. So we're trying to get the control to tilt it back. So it's tipped forward, we're trying to tip it back. So that's what we do as a test. What we're looking for is, are their knees shaking? Are they quivering? Do they have any kind of control? And most kids will fail this. Almost every single kid will fail this originally. So if we're unable to pelvic tilt here, there's not going to be any way that we're going to be able to hold that pelvic tilt through our swing. And that's what we want. We don't want to be anteriorly tilted. We want to be posterior tilted. And then that allows us to stay connected through the swing longer, allows us greater connection on a low and outside pitches, all that good stuff. So if we can't do that test the right way, what we do is we regress it. And we do it by step-by-step fashion. The first thing that I'll do is we get on our knees this way, and then we try to pelvic tilt. If they're unable to do that, what we do is we get on all fours, and we try to pelvic tilt. Now what you'll see here is a lot of kids will get the extension in the mid and upper back. So they'll come here and then there, and that's not really what we're looking for. We're looking for just the pelvic tilt. If they can't do that, what we'll do is we'll do a lying pelvic tilt. And this is a great exercise to do for them to feel how those intrinsic core muscles work to move the pelvis and to stabilize the pelvis. So you lay down, feet flat on the floor, and we have them arch the low back. So you can see that space in the small of my back, right down towards the lumbar region. And then we're ribs up, and then we hold the ribs down, trying to get flat. The stomach should be hard. Everything should be touching the ground from the back of our head, not our cervical spine, but then our thoracic, all the way through the lumbar spine to the upper part of to the buttocks. So we hold that. Once they're efficient at holding that, we'll have them perform marching, and they're trying to hold that the entire time. Then we'll allow them to go ribs up, ribs down, ribs up, ribs down. Then we progress it to all fours, like we talked about, and then our knees, and then our feet. And there are some other modifications you can make. Sometimes you'll get kids that get on the floor and they still cannot perform the pelvic tilt the right way. So a lot of times what we'll do is we'll grab something like a hand towel, or we'll grab something like a wrist weight, and we'll put it right under the back, and we'll cue them to push that hand towel or wrist weight into the ground as hard as they can. That's a tremendous exercise for them to learn how to get the pelvic tilt working. Then, as I talked about, we progress that pelvic tilt out until we're able to perform the pelvic tilt with the PVC across our chest, this way. And then we'll actually get a larger PVC that's a little bit bigger, and we'll get them in their stance this way. We'll do the same thing. And then if you watched the previous series we made about creating tension in the swing, there's some drills we do with PVC, and we'll work to those. So we'll progress it all the way out. So that's the first part of the pelvic tilt we wanted to talk about. We'll talk a little bit more about it in another series, but that's an excellent thing you can have your kids do to progress throughout and make sure they can do that pelvic tilt So they're able to protect their spine, they're able to transfer force, they're able to stay connected in their swing, whether it's a high ball or a low ball, and they're not getting this way and losing themselves in their balance. So watch for that pelvic tilt, check them out, do the tests, regress it if you have to. If you have any questions, you can find us on Twitter at HossJob, or you can find us on Facebook at Bob Harris Baseball School. Thank you.